Welcome to another episode of my Motortown playthrough. It's time to trash the place, or more like take the trash out. I'm going to try and keep the property damage to a minimum, but it can't always be avoided. You know how it goes with me. I'm trying, but some lampposts might be sacrificed in the process. Anyways, there is a little bit of a rant that I would like to get through before we actually get started here, because while I, like many other people, have been waiting for an in-house trash truck for years now, this thing is something that I got mixed feelings on. And to be clear from the get-go, when I say been waiting on that stuff for years, the old Compacti, according to the old Trello, was added in March of 2022, so about 4 years ago. And while I do enjoy a lot of the finer details on the in-house model, it's really a nice one when it comes to some of the stuff like the pistons, the cables, etc. There's this whole thing about I think these are the hydraulic hoses that come out of the front of the cargo box and go over top and into the back. We got nice looking mechanisms for opening the rear, the controls and everything. The finer details on this are, as per usual, really nice, but I don't like the overall shape of it, the silhouette and all of that. It's the broader strokes for me. So, yeah, the first thing I'm not really a fan of is this gap between the cargo box and the frame. It's just a bit weird being able to see through the entire thing. I looked up a few trash truck designs when this one came out, and while some of them have a high-sitting cargo box, none of them let you just look through that. There's usually something going on there that upscales the view, so that looks a bit weird. And I think for the overall shape, it would be looking a lot nicer if both the cargo box and the compacting unit on the back were taken and just moved down a bit to close up the gap. That would also help with the rear being pretty high in general. I mean, we got the stepping boards pretty much on crotch height right here. And also even trying to throw the trash base into the back here, not all that easy. So, yeah, having everything a bit lower would be nicer. To be fair, you can do that, of course, once you own the thing. And I think this could easily be the stock height, if maybe not even a bit lower than that. But yeah, that's one of the major things. And I think lowering down all that stuff would be an objective improvement. The next point is far more subjective, and it has to do with the shape of the roof towards the rear. So most garbage trucks are a bit more shaped like this from the old Compacti. They have a downward sloping back, as we can see here. And this one just being a straight up extension to the main roof line and then even going higher towards the very back, it's just... I don't like the look of it. I get that some people really enjoy this one as it's a more odd and rare thing, fair enough. But since this is the only new trash truck that we've gotten in 4 years, what I would like to see is another option. Don't just replace the one that we have right now, but maybe give a second version where we can change out the rear in the tuning shops. And the one that I would like to see is basically how I got it here, minus the part that I painted black. Just cut off the top rail. Don't know who would ever be using that to begin with. And yeah, just cut out the roof a bit and have it come down in a more sloped way. Shouldn't require changing anything else about it. But yeah, I think a more regular style would look a bit better. If we look at this with bright orange as a contrast, I think the overall silhouette that paints certainly more something that I would like to see. But yeah, on my own version, I of course tried and make it look a bit more enjoyable to myself. So I added this little side skirt here, covering up the gap a little bit. And also painted the top part black to take the focus off from that. As for the one as it is stock, it's just I don't know. Doesn't really do it for me. And to be clear, I wouldn't even make that much of a big deal out of this if it wasn't the first one that we got in 4 years. I'm a bit afraid that this might be the only one that we'll ever get in-house, and there might not be another trash truck until the game is finished. So, yeah, having the choice between this one and the old Compacti, where we can't even repaint anything that's green on it, like the entire back part and compacting unit, that's just always gonna be green, and there isn't even an option to put decals on it. I don't like it. I would like a slightly different version, having another choice here, and ideally in the future even more options. Would be nice to get another trash truck based on the Longhorn, maybe an EV version. All of that would be cool, but right now we got the Atlas version and the old Compacti. And once again, I'm afraid with how long it took to get the Atlas, that might be the only one for a while, if not for the rest of development. Because let's keep this in mind, at some point, the game is likely going to exit early access, and it's at some point going to be considered finished. So I would like a good option for myself up until then. But yeah, I think it's time that we finally get into the truck and start collecting the trash. Actually do a job here, not just talk about the vehicle. So yeah, I'm going to go through the entirety of Gangyang and downtown in order to try and fill up the truck. It is 50% larger than the old Compacti, so I got the feeling that a lot of the towns here were really designed in terms of the amount of trash available to fill up a Compacti, and maybe not much more than that. So this is going to be, yeah, a bit of a thing trying to get this one full. Might have to stop by another smaller town or something before we drop this off. But yeah, with how the loading works here, 4 regular trash bags are 1 unit of whatever is filled up there on the top right. So with the Compacti, we had to fill it up with 40 trash bags, and in this case it's going to be a grand total of 60. So quite a bit of stuff to collect. And yeah, I deliberately started this at the end of the day because I wanted to do this partially in the dark. I just think that with a trash truck, the stuff that you can do with the light fixtures is part of the appeal here. Like lighting up the compacting unit and all of that. I even have a few additional lights that I might turn on in a moment. Because having to really light up the area around you, it is useful, and it's also quite nice looking in my opinion. So yeah, we're going to see that in a moment. I've also been trying to get the payment to change for the job. I just feel like one of the downsides with this thing in particular is all the trash bags are worth the exact same amount of money. 2,000 per trash bag, and I think it's 3,000 per dumpster. Here, let me turn on the extra lights here to light up the rear a little bit. Could also put on the garbage collection outfit, just to be dressed up for the job and see the markers for the trash bags while outside the truck. Okay, somehow I managed to put the trash bag over there. Don't know how that happened, but yeah, usually you can just put them in like this. Can I get it through the bars? Thankfully. So yeah, for the most part no need to throw them anymore, it's much more convenient now. You can still hold the button and that will allow you to throw them. But just being able to put them in like that is usually the better choice. But yeah, for the payment, the annoying thing is that no matter where you get your bags from, they are always worth the same. It doesn't really reward you for going to a far away destination. So yeah, usually you make a lot of money while collecting trash on Jeju Island, but going over to Oji, down to Ara or something, down to Sanho, that's just really not worth it. Especially Gwangjin, that's just a complete waste of time trying to get your your trash truck out of that area. So yeah, I want to have a system that is both giving a bit of a flat rate payment for just the garbage bags normally. Okay, sometimes there's an active dumpster over here, but currently that seems to be empty. And in addition to the flat payment for getting out of the truck and picking up the thing, there should be distance-based payment. And with how I had the calculations and the values set up, I made an entire spreadsheet, also taking into account the distances from the towns to the nearby disposal site. You made about half the money on Jeju Island, or at least with Gangyang and Jeju City, because I think that's just completely blown out of proportions. Getting 80k for a full compacti, that's just way too much for the work and time you put into it. And if you go to a far away location, the money would be much better. I think per bag it was 800 coins that I had as a flat pickup rate. So 800 coins for just getting out of the truck, going around, picking up the bag, and 100 coins per kilometer for the distance payment. So that doesn't sound like much, but you have to keep in mind, on a compacti you would usually get 40 bags, so that's 4k per kilometer. And then you would also, 800 coins times 40, that's also a really decent payout. So for Jeju City, it averaged out to something like 44k. I think it was also similar for Gangyang. But once you went further away, you would easily reach over 100k for something like Ara, I think. And I had another off-road bonus specific for Gwangjin that would double up the payment from the distance. So that, I think, went over 200k or something. I don't fully remember the numbers from the top of my head, but it all looked pretty good. Of course, with some people who saw that being a bit disappointed that their cash cow got nerfed a bit because, well, it's a common tactic trying to make some money real quick by just doing some Gangyang and Jeju City garbage runs due to their low distance to the nearby power plant. But I think that wasn't ever really too healthy for the job. It made it at least as profitable as doing a coal run or something. So really high payment for the effort. And I think that was always blown out of proportions a bit. It's too much. And in the end, what it did was trying to get people into the job who don't really like the activity. So really giving incentive to do it despite not having the best time with it, which for a game that's supposed to be enjoyable is not the best tactic in my opinion. And yeah, for people who really like the job, they are going to make money hand over fist, and it's just I don't know. I don't mind this being an activity that not everybody will enjoy, not everybody will engage with, but the people who do like it, have something specific to them. So, I don't think it needs to pay more than it should be worth doing the job. Just let people who want to make money have different options that are all pretty decent, and don't try to get them into a job that they don't enjoy simply for the payout. But yeah, everything else. Oh yeah, one thing I can show you guys. I'm keeping the lift axle down usually because from my experience lifting up that one, even on the stock version, it makes it tip back and forth quite a lot. So while it's not really necessary in terms of the weight, I think it just gives the truck a lot of stability that it's otherwise lacking. Might be due to the compacting unit in the back being pretty heavy. Might be due to the rear wheel, and I don't mean the lift axle, the one that's actually driven, being quite far forward. But yeah, it's gonna rock back and forth a lot without the support from the lift axle. So that's why I usually keep the stuff down. Also, if I remember correctly, the mass added by the trash bags, this isn't all in tons or anything, whatever the top right might suggest. From what I know, the mass from the trash bags is 10 kilograms each. So a full load on the Compacti is 400 kilograms, and on this one it should be 600. So yeah, might try and check that towards the end here. If I can get the thing full and find a place to see the vehicle weight. I'm kinda stopping my own bus here. I might have to pull over. See if it will pass me like this. Ah, nice. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that can be said about the job as a whole. There's of course also the big dumpster loads that give like double the amount of load that the regular trash bags do. They are only worth 50% more. So if you're really going for maximum money, you should actually leave those. But then again, they're also easy to pick up, and that makes them quite nice. Oh yeah, one other thing. Almost forgot about that. If we go onto the back here, we can engage the horn. I think it's supposed to be a buzzer that lets us communicate with the driver, which is a really nice little addition. Being able to tell the driver that you're ready without having to type in chat or something. So yeah, that's kind of nice. But I don't know if it's a good idea that it's the regular vehicle horn. They might just need to add another sound for it. I don't know if they have one to add a little buzzer. But yeah, what can I say? I'm actually really enjoying the job still. I don't do it that often anymore because it can be a bit monotone. Especially once again due to the whole thing with the payout. I think giving a good incentive to go to different places would be really healthy for the job. Just going over to Ara a bit more, going into Senho, which I think is like 1 or 2 bags short of giving an exactly filled up Compacti. So yeah, that really seems to be designed for that vehicle. I'm putting the rear axle down again. I don't like how it's rocking back and forth so much. But yeah, overall, with the vehicle itself, I'm not entirely happy. It's okay, but I really don't enjoy the look of it. Getting used to it, but I would like something else, or at least another option here. Also, when it comes to the achievements here, I think right now I'm only missing the one for 500 back runs, which I'm slowly inching towards. I think I'm at least at 350 or so. But for the final one for trash bags, I'm at around 4,500 right now. That's actually quite annoying because I used to play on other characters as well. I got my other character for Hoki server, and I had like 2 major characters before this one. And the achievement doesn't count any of that together. So however much I use the trash truck on those characters, it's all useless. It needs to be 5,000 trash collected on one single character. It's kind of ridiculous in 2 ways. First up, because it should just count them all together. And besides that, there's also the factor that the highest regular cargo delivery stuff is 10k. And that also counts the trash bags, since technically this is part of just trucking and all of that. Actually getting stuck here, that's not amazing. Come on. Yeah, so much about me wanting to bring down the entire truck here. It's kind of, I think that's a bit of a ridiculous driveway. The problem is, the truck itself has a really long overhang on the back. So from the rear tires to the very end of the truck, it's a long distance, and therefore you need a higher overall ride height here in order to not get stuck on areas like that. And it would be a shame making that any shorter, because honestly it's a nice feature of the truck that it has such a large area where you can put the trash in. Like the entire compacting unit is really large, allowing you to overload the thing, allowing you to carry more trash before you actually have to use the compacting stuff. Thank you for almost driving me over. I think maybe if we go that far into detail, maybe they could also move the stuff a bit further forward here. Like the gap between the wheels and the compacting unit here could be a bit smaller, so that we don't lose any of the extra space in the back, but reduce the overhang a little bit. But yeah, that's more of a practical thing. And to be clear, I've given this stuff as feedback a while ago. I don't think anything is going to change about it. Would be nice to be proven wrong, but with how I read the room there, it doesn't seem like that's gonna be a thing. Okay, seems like we've got every single bag in this area. Now that one spawned. I'm not gonna go back for a single dumpster though. So, yeah. We are about 3 bags on top of what the compacting could hold. So yeah, we are slightly more full than that truck can have, and that's kind of nice. But we still have a bit to go before we actually fill up this one. So let's go around to this little outside area. That should have a few more bags. And then we might stop by Olle Speedway and go from there. But yeah, there's a few more bags up here. So let's quickly get all of those. But yeah, there's also still a few things to do regarding the copper stuff. I've been really enjoying that one, which you may see with all the videos that I make on that. It feels a bit ridiculous at this point, but yeah, at least the whole supply thing is something that I've done with. And the next one that I would be making is getting the concentrate over to the steel mill. I think I'm going to put this somewhere in the middle between the supply ones though, just to get a bit more variety going. Already did the same with a recent event that happened. But yeah, a few things might be a bit out of order, but it shouldn't be too distracting, hopefully. Likely wouldn't have anybody noticed it if I didn't mention it, but yeah. In addition to all the stuff that I'm showing there, I even managed to get a heavy-duty semi-tractor with 6 planks up the mud shortcut. Didn't record that though. Worked out quite well, but maybe not recommendable. If you've seen the episode with how I did it with the CUDA flatbed, pretty much that, but a tiny bit more, yeah, a bit more janky. Try to do the same route, the same bypasses with a semi-tractor and trailer. It worked, but not in a recommendable way. I hope that next week we'll be getting the change to the last copper mine. I think they are working on getting that with a bit more high quality ore, so that it will hopefully convert to more copper concentrate. And I think at that point I can also make a video about that mine, because that should be differently balanced than right now. Right now it's an interesting job. Makes a good amount of money, but when you want to get some concentrate to do the rest of the supply chain, it's really not recommendable. It's not worth the time compared to doing the supplies. Okay, might have to drive over to Hallam now. There are a few over here. And the next stop would be Hallam to get the last few bags. Should also be able to get a weight reading on the supermarket there. And then we can return there once we have dropped off everything, just to see how much it really was in terms of extra cargo weight. I don't know what the value is for the dumpsters, and we got quite a few dumpsters loaded into this, so might be more, might be less, but I think the overall ballpark should be alright. Okay, that's one of them. The other one should be behind the building. And I think the brakes are slightly smoking on this thing. I don't know if I changed the brake bias for this truck. I don't think so. It's always a weird one to do with vehicles that have more than 2 axles, because I don't know how it's going to affect the things. Right now it seems like the middle axle is having a bit of a time overheating the brakes, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to take too much stuff off the lift axle if I move it forward, or what's that gonna do. As I mentioned, when we got the brake bias tuning, that really needed a bit more explanation and show some values, ideally even going for a different version than what we got here. Moving the stuff back and forth in equal matter, it works for regular cars, but anything with more axles is highly confusing. Especially if you don't show the brake strength before and after. Don't mind me just coming through here. Just gonna keep it below 90, because then I should be safe from getting the police on my back. I think it's always 20 kilometers per hour over the speed limit when they start chasing you. So since I was driving at 88 for a while, that was just below that. I think my brakes are officially cooked now. Just got the symbol as I stopped. Anything else? Another one over here. Also, the other thing I'm still waiting on is getting the building construction grid for the actual houses, etc. I hope it's going to work with the houses when we have them constructed already. Otherwise, I would actually tear down all my depots and build them again in order to get them all lined up correctly. So I hope I can avoid that, but if I have to do it, I will. You know what, let's just grab the container first. I mean the dumpster. Come on. 15 out of 15. So if we check in at the convenience store over here, wait until everything calms down a little bit. And let me just make a screenshot just in case. 18.7. Currently tapped out. Give me a moment. Just gonna put that on my second screen. Okay, here we go. So I got the values on my second screen now. I can read them back to you once we got all the stuff delivered. Now the last thing to do is actually take advantage of the large compacting unit and fill that up with as many bags as we can put in there. Or more like as many as this area provides to us. Come on. Here we go. Another thing I kinda keep forgetting about is the whole firefighting system that got added. I wanna show that off as well. Might do that sooner than later. But the thing is, whenever I get into one of those trucks and check for fires, there's usually one available somewhere, but really far away from any location where you can get the truck from, and I just I look at that, teleport over, remember that I would have to drive the truck there from any of the locations, and then I just say, no thank you, not gonna do that. The Brutus not being ownable and there not being another fire truck option is just... It's kind of a death for the entire mode, I think. At least right now. Some people may enjoy it. I'm certainly not one of them. I don't like driving the Brutus all that much, especially when stock. Another thing I recently noticed when doing some of the ambulance work, overloaded tires are blowing out even quicker now. I had one passenger that I wanted to take from Lilu to the Ara hospital. So from somewhere over here, all the way down to Ara. I bought new tires before I picked up the guy, and the front tires blew out before I reached the hospital. So usually they are like 50% done or something by that time, and you have to eventually get new ones. They don't hold out that long, but this is now really ridiculous. And there is a more heavy tonnage tire option on the Trello, but they haven't done it yet. So can't use it, and that kinda makes the tavern ambulance pretty much unusable. And honestly, when I tried using the Brutus version instead, since it has medium duty tires, I just put it into autopilot at some point. I don't find that thing engaging at all. Oh, I even got a trash bag over here, although it's looking... It's kind of placed in a bit of a peculiar way, immediately right into the road. But yeah, picked it up as well, so we got a bit more stuff to deliver. And then we can also talk about how heavy the load was to begin with. Also, we got another set of decals for the update. A lot of recycling symbols, which is nice. One of them I put on the front there. We got a lot of text like the waste disposal, waste management, recycling, bus line with different area names. That's all really cool. So yeah, I tried to add at least a little bit to the truck here. But yeah, let's see how much money we make from this. This should be a really good payout. And I also made a decent amount of money with hauling the copper ore from the mines down to the concentrator. Basically, you can get a little contract every time you deliver 20 units. And if you deliver enough units, you make a really good amount of money. I'll show part of that in a future video. But I'm glad I got a bit more money back, because once we finally get more of V6 engines with different power options, I will likely spend a lot of money on those. Ooh, baby, that's a lot. So we got 46 regular trash bags worth 2k each, and then 7 trash bags from the dumpsters that are worth 3k, and therefore, yeah, technically not worth as much for the amount of space they take up, but worthwhile payout overall. And now all we need to do is open up the gate again. And compress. Let's see how much that gives. 2.8, so that must have been... not 7? No, that must have been 11 bags, I think. If it were 12, it would be at 3, so yeah, 11 bags. Just like that. And now back to the next way station. And I bet it's not gonna be too much different. So the gross vehicle weight was 18.7 tons when we had it fully loaded, without any overloading. And now we are at 8.2 tons, so yeah, about half a ton. I think it's supposed to be more like 600 kilograms, but it might be a bit inaccurate, so yeah. So yeah, we're not transporting 15 tons of cargo here. That would be a bit ridiculous for the job. And to look at how it's distributed, the front axle used to be 7.5 tons. That hasn't changed. The middle axle, oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, I was on a bit of a slope and everything, so it's gonna be different now that I'm on flat ground. On the other, on the other reading, it was 6.4 tons for the middle axle, that's now heavier, and 4.8 on the rear axle, which is now quite a bit lighter. So there was definitely a bit of weight transfer, likely down to me being on an upward slope and there being more weight on the back due to it. But yeah, it's around half a ton, should be 600 kilograms if I'm correct, but I don't know how it works out with dumpster loads. But yeah, this is us being done with the job for now. So I can now put back my trash outfit. Nice that we got an option for a utility box right here. And with that being said, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed and see you guys next time. Until then, as always, have a good one and bye bye.